I did it. I finally left the religion I grew up in, with all its rules, its judgment, and its fear. I thought I was free until I realized I'd just walked straight into another cage. This one just had prettier bars and played nicer music. Have you ever felt that? Like you escaped one spiritual trap, only to find yourself in a new one that feels suspiciously familiar? If you have, you are definitely not alone. And today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the manipulation tactics used by both sides, organized religion and New Age spirituality, that keep you from being truly free. So many of us are waking up to this strange and frustrating pattern. It usually starts with a feeling of being suffocated. You're in a system, a church, a temple, a mosque, and you suddenly realize the rules just don't make sense anymore. The answers feel hollow, the community feels conditional, and your own inner voice is getting completely drowned out by dogma. So you make the brave choice to leave. You walk away from God, or at least the version of God you were taught to fear. And in that search for freedom, you stumble into a new world, the world of the universe. It's beautiful there. There are no sins, only lessons. There's no hell, just lower vibrations. People talk about love, light, and manifesting your reality. It feels like you can finally breathe again. But then, slowly, the old patterns start creeping back in. The pressure to think a certain way returns, just with a whole new vocabulary. That old fear of getting it wrong is back. But instead of sin, now you're afraid of having a low vibration. You realize the game is exactly the same, only the name of the master has changed. You traded a judgmental God for a passive-aggressive universe, and you're still not free. For most of my early life, my spiritual world was neatly mapped out for me. I was taught that the path to salvation was incredibly narrow. And guess what? Our church had the only accurate map. The leaders were seen as shepherds with a special connection to God, and their interpretation of the Holy Book was final. Questioning them wasn't just frowned upon. It was framed as a weakness, an opening for the devil to plant seeds of doubt. I remember sitting in services where the main message, deep down, was about separation. It was always us versus them, the saved versus the world. We were the chosen ones, and everyone on the outside was lost, misguided, or under some dark influence. This created a powerful sense of belonging, sure, but it was a belonging built on fear. I lived with this constant, low-grade anxiety about doing something wrong, saying the wrong thing, or even thinking the wrong thought. Feelings like doubt or anger were labeled bad and had to be prayed away. My breaking point wasn't one big explosion, but more of a slow burn. It was realizing the unconditional love we talked so much about felt incredibly conditional. It depended on me agreeing with everything and staying in line. The second I started asking critical questions, the warmth I felt from everyone started to go cold. I saw that we were mistaking conformity for unity. The whole system wasn't built to empower my connection to the divine. It was built to ensure my loyalty to the institution. And so, I left, looking for something real. Walking away from my old religion was such a massive relief. I found the world of New Age spirituality, and it was like stepping out of a black and white movie into full-blown Technicolor. The language was all about empowerment. You create your own reality. Your thoughts shape your destiny. Just follow your bliss. For the first time, I felt like I was the captain of my own ship. I dove in headfirst, I learned about chakras, crystals, astrology, you name it. I swapped out prayer for affirmations and meditation. Instead of seeing myself as a broken sinner who needed saving, I was now a divine being of light who just forgot how powerful I was. It was intoxicating. People in these circles were so positive and accepting. They love-bombed me, telling me how awakened I was for living my old, dogmatic life. But then, the cracks started to show. I noticed that just like my old religion had bad emotions, the New Age had low vibrational ones. If I felt sad or angry, the advice wasn't to feel it, but to raise my vibration. Critical thinking was brushed off as being stuck in your ego or in your masculine energy. It was just a new way to shut down uncomfortable questions. If my manifestations weren't working, it was my fault. My vibration wasn't high enough, or I had a money blockage. It was the same logic of shame, just wrapped in a prettier package. I realized that while religion controlled me with the fear of God's punishment, the New Age was controlling me with the fear of my own negativity. It was just another trap. When you really look at it, you see that both of these systems, the dogmatic God and the trendy universe, use the exact same playbook to keep control. They're just wearing different outfits. First, there's the illusion of special knowledge. In many religions, the priest or pastor has the special authority to interpret the sacred texts. They have the direct line to God, so you're discouraged from figuring it out on your own. In the New Age, it's the same deal. The authority is just handed over to a guru, a channeler, or some influencer who claims to get secret knowledge from spirit guides or higher dimensions. In both setups, you're taught that you need a middleman to get to the truth, which keeps you dependent on them. Second is the classic us versus them mentality. Religion is famous for this. The believers versus the non-believers, the righteous versus the sinners. It builds a strong group identity by making the other seem wrong or dangerous. The New Age does the exact same thing, just with new labels. It's the awakened versus the sheeple, the conscious versus the unconscious. You get this smug sense of being better than others because you have a higher vibration. It creates the same division and spiritual ego, just masked as enlightenment. Third, and this one is the sneakiest, is the dismissal of critical thinking. In strict religion, doubt is a sin. You're told to lean not on your own understanding and just have faith. Questioning things is a sign your faith is weak. In the New Age, the shutdown phrases are different, but the effect is identical. If you're skeptical, you're told you're being negative, stuck in 3D thinking, or it's just your ego resisting. In both systems, your own mind, your God-given tool for telling truth from fiction, is reframed as a spiritual problem. Finally, there's conditional acceptance and love bombing. When you first join, both groups can be incredibly welcoming. You're showered with affection and attention. That's the love bomb. You finally feel like you belong somewhere. But that acceptance is almost always conditional. It lasts as long as you follow the rules and agree with the leader. The moment you dissent or try to leave, that warmth can turn to ice. You get shunned, judged, or told you're making a huge spiritual mistake. It's emotional manipulation that makes leaving feel like a betrayal, trapping you right where they want you. So if God can be a trap and the universe can be a trap, where do we go? The answer isn't about finding a better system. It's about realizing you don't need a system at all. It's about building your own foundation. First, it all starts with radical self-responsibility. This just means accepting that no one outside of you, no priest, no guru, no YouTuber, Not even me has your answers. You are your own spiritual authority. Your life, your intuition, your gut feelings, that's your sacred text. It's about shifting from looking for answers out there to listening for them in here. Second is marrying your brain and your gut. Real spirituality isn't about shutting off your intellect. A healthy spiritual life uses both the heart and the mind. It means you can feel a deep, intuitive pull towards something and also ask logical questions about it. You don't have to turn off your brain to open your heart. A little healthy skepticism is the firewall that protects you from delusion. And finally, true freedom means embracing your whole self. The goal isn't to be perfectly pious or high vibe all the time. That's exhausting and it's impossible. You're human, which means you're going to feel the whole rainbow of emotions: joy, anger, peace, sadness. Freedom is giving yourself permission to feel all of it without judging yourself. It's letting go of the idea that you're broken and need to be fixed. Your messiness, your imperfections, that's all part of your beautiful, divine humanity. Pain isn't a sign you're doing it wrong. It's just a sign that you're alive. Ultimately, the path to spiritual freedom isn't about choosing Team God or Team Universe. It's about recognizing that any system, no matter how shiny, becomes a prison when it asks you to give away your personal power. The goal isn't to find the perfect cage with the most comfortable bars. The goal is to realize you were never meant to be in a cage in the first place. True freedom is the moment-by-moment choice to trust your own inner compass and walk your own path with an open heart and a sharp mind. I've shared a bit of my story, and now I'd love to hear yours. What spiritual traps have you run into, either in religion or the New Age? Share your experience in the comments below. Your story might just be the key that helps someone else find their own way out.